all, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to my Cosmic Corner of the Internet, where we discuss all things astrology. And today, diving into astrology philosophy is what I'm going to call it. But basically, I'm tackling today questions such as, can you believe in God and also believe in astrology? Are we victim to astrology or do we have free will? I know grappling with these questions, particularly at the beginning of your study of astrology, can be very confusing. And of course, it's a very personal journey. It's something that you need to arrive to and feel good about. But I just want to share my understanding and what's granted me solace and peace in my study of astrology. And maybe you can find something valuable within it. Before diving in, if you could do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. If you find any value within this video, it really helps me keeping these cosmic vids coming. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So I grew up in a religious home. We went to a non-denominational Christian church. My parents both still work at the church and I'm still close with my parents. And church was an integral part of my childhood as well as my teenagehood. I really was into religion. I mean, I went to youth group, my entire friend group was at church, all of my boyfriends were at church. I was very into church. And you know, there's parts I loved about it and there's parts I didn't like as much, parts that I didn't agree with and parts that resonated and granted me some peace and solace. When I got to college, there was part of me that kind of rebelled against religion in some facet, focusing overly on the parts that troubled me, mostly around, you know, strict rules and loose interpretations of the Bible. And when I was on that leg of my journey, I was exploring what it meant to fully push away the concept of religion within my life. And that didn't work for me. I'm a Pisces, so there's part of me that does best when I feel tied to something bigger or something more divine. And I've never been someone who's like, I need to know the truth and I need to dive deep and really understand the crux of the matter. I've always been someone where I'm like, if that belief system works for you, that's amazing. And let me find a belief system that works for me. So in my brief kind of stint with atheism in the beginning of my college, I found it did not work for me. I found I was very depressed. I felt like I wasn't living for anything. And I also began to appreciate kind of the bounds that church gave me, just a kind of a understanding of the world and to be good to other people and to uphold myself to a moral code. For some reason, that works for me. That works. And having a concept of a loving creator who guides and supports me works for me. I'm not religious, I wouldn't say. I don't really go to church, I don't really study the Bible, but I found that my life operates the best when I believe in a loving creator and I strive to have a relationship with God, universe, cosmos, whatever you want to call it. So after my brief stint with atheism, at this time I was still heavily studying astrology. So there was a time that I kind of played with, you know, these are just planets and everything that happens to us is very random. And I will add, a lot of astrologers do abide by that and do believe that, and I'm not making them wrong at all. I believe that God, universe, whatever word you want to say, I'm not super rigidly attached to the word. I believe the planets were created with a purpose. I believe our birth charts were created with a purpose. I believe that at some sense, our soul chose the placements and the aspects in order to illuminate what our gift was for the world and to impact other lives and to fulfill our unique divine mission. I don't believe we are just victim to random planets making aspects. I believe that the planets were created. I believe the archetypes were created, and I believe that it's a method of tapping in. There are many methods of tapping in spiritually. There are modalities such as tarot, oracle decks, pendulums, even spending time in nature. Creativity is a method of tapping in. I don't think it's just limited to astrology, but I've always perceived astrology as something very deeply spiritual. I think it's a method of understanding the universe and by an extension, understanding God and whoever created us and whatever created us. There's a line in the Bible that I should probably know, but something about don't look to the sky for answers. And I've always thought, well, God created the sky. God created the universe. And I think we can study the planets just as we can study nature. I mean, no one says, thou shalt not look to the ocean for answers. It's like, don't we want to better understand this world that we're in? Why would we not track patterns? It's never felt like a one or the other thing. It's always felt like we can study astrology and still be spiritual and believe in God. But of course that varies. It's just my opinion. I've had the experience where I'm reading someone's charts and I start getting major intuitive downloads, and that's always been a part that I used to fight against. I've been studying astrology for a long time. So at the beginning of your astrology career, it's mostly advised to not let those intuitive insights in, because it is a very rigorous study and we don't want to let these downloads take away from the actual study and practice of astrology, which is in books. It takes years of deep study. It's not just, intuitive downloads, but I've found that by reading charts, I start to tap in and I start to channel. And that used to be something I fought against. And in most recent years, now that I'm really confident in my studies and I know exactly what I'm talking about, I'm starting to let that intuition kind of guide my reading. So I allow what's channeling to come through me through the chart. So for example, I'll look at a particular aspect and then I'll open up certain information that the chart holder needs to or wants to know. So it's been an interesting experience kind of letting that intuitive side of my astrology take forth. And I know a lot of astrologers are against the idea of intuitive astrology. My perception of it is, so long as you know your stuff, you've studied for years, you are so well versed in astrology, I believe it is okay to integrate some of your intuitive downloads if it will assist the person that you are reading with. I think you should always ask for consent before downloading or channeling for someone, because they might just want to know exactly what is in the chart. But I have found intuition is actually a quicker way of getting to the juicy parts and also what that chart holder needs to know at that particular moment in time. Now, for the fate versus free will, again, very personal decision that you'll need to come to terms with in your astrology practice. For me, I do not believe we are victims to a cruel and unforgiving cosmos. I believe our birth chart is our blueprint, so it can indicate our past self, perhaps illuminate patterns that we've outgrown or patterns that have reared their ugly head early in life. It can illuminate the present, things that we are currently grappling with, and it can represent the future potential that's within our charts. And I don't believe that just because you have Mars square Pluto means that you'll be struggling with the downsides of that for the rest of your life. I think acknowledging that you have that aspect and working towards it, you can certainly come to a point in your life when you're looking at your chart and you no longer feel like that resonates. I believe that we have free will. I believe that astrology can be used for us to better understand ourselves. And what's the point of understanding ourselves if we're not taking that information to learn and grow from? I have a difficult birth chart. I'm just being totally forthright. I've left astrology readings and been like, wow, I am broken. I am messed up. And your birth time, you can't change that. And I'll never forget, brilliant astrologer, but I'll never forget leaving an astrology reading and my heart was to my stomach. I just felt like my heart had sank so much because I was like, I'm so broken and I'm so flawed. It didn't make me feel empowered. And I had always loved astrology, but I didn't really contemplate it as a career until that reading, because I was like, I would love to be able to convey this language in a more empowering way. I just won't forget that feeling of walking out and feeling like I was flawed. And I don't think that it does any bit of good to leave people feeling like they're eternally flawed because their Mars is in the wrong thing and whatever the heck. I think that it shows potential, it shows where we have challenges, and it's so essential as astrologers in this day and age to lead with the potential. We live in a different time, and astrology is an old practice. And there's a branch called fatalistic, which is basically, this is what it is and this is all it'll be. And that was a different realm of life. We have a lot more agency as individuals, I would say now, and a lot more opportunity. I mean, we can like do such a myriad of different professions, and we have so much technology at our fingertips. The astrology is different. We are not, it used to be very, very kind of generational. If our fathers were farmers, we would probably be farmers, and there wasn't a lot of breaking out of that. And now we have a lot more options. I understand not everyone does, but for a majority of people in this day and age, there are options and ways we can shift and evolve. I think limiting us to saying, oh, you're doomed to, be broke, or you're doomed to only work these sort of jobs, can kind of dispel hope. And hope is a really, really vital thing not to lose. In terms of transits, I do believe that being forewarned is being forearmed. So just knowing that these themes will be present within our life, I don't believe we can skirt those themes entirely, nor should we live a life where we try to ignore and avoid anything that is less than ideal within our life. I think transits present opportunities. So yes, you might have Saturn transiting a house, and you can be sure that you'll have to work at the affairs of that house. And while that can be detrimental, those lessons can come via unfortunate wake-up calls. You can have the intention and set out for it to be a more positive experience. For example, Saturn in the second house, instead of feeling limited and stuck by that upcoming transit, you can say, okay, I'm going to take advantage of this, and I'm going to intentionally put work towards budgeting, towards investing for my financial goals, and towards being a little bit more responsible in terms of the money that I sent. And going into that experience with that mindset about working hard and building from the ground up in the affair of second house, which is money and things that you earned, will be a much more positive experience rather than ignoring it and then having that Saturn, because it will get your attention somehow, come through via like being crushed by your current financial state, etc. I think you can really seize the opportunity when you look at what is upcoming and choose to lean in rather than lean away. And also, by the same token, you can look at amazing transits in your chart and say, hey, there's so much opportunity in this realm of my life. Maybe I should dive into it. Like, Jupiter transiting your sixth house. Maybe you've never really contemplated, your health or your body, but you're like, hey, Jupiter is expanding my sixth house. Let me take this opportunity to dive in deeper to exercise to see what that feels like, or dive in deeper to my daily diet, my daily routine. Jupiter is where I expand, so maybe this year will be about expanding my relationship to health and daily routines. I think it can be a really, really positive thing. So I think it's a mix. I don't believe that we are victim to a cold and unfriendly universe. I think it is all opportunity. It is all potential that we can lean in or lean away. Of course, there is work that we have to do. Life is not going to be perfect, but with insightfulness and with awareness, we can intentionally choose to expand the aspects of our life that we wish to. So it's kind of a blend. I don't believe that we can completely skirt any sort of unfortunate circumstance, because life would be so boring because of that. And I don't believe that we should by any means, because those experiences, those challenges are what make us evolve and grow. Of course, the astrology is the same. I never in my practice am going to bend or shift or sugarcoat transits. That is not my aim. But I do believe it is our responsibility as astrologers to convey the beauty and the potential that we see in the charts and leave people feeling empowered to take advantage of the potential rather than a victim to this cold and unfriendly chart and this birth time that we cannot change. And looking at even the really difficult parts of our chart, the Chiron, the Saturn, the Sun on Saturn, whatever it is, and seeing, how can I learn from this? How can I feel empowered from this? I think magic happens when we look at our chart as something that is designed rather than something that is random. Because when we look at it like it's something random, we can feel like we are flawed, we are broken, like how I felt when I left that astrology reading after being told for like an hour and a half all the reasons why my chart was so messed up. We can feel like, oh gosh, there's nothing I can do with my life because I was born at the wrong time and Saturn was at this portion of the sky and my moon was on Chiron, and etc. Magic happens when you choose to change your relationship to that. So rather than viewing it as random, viewing it as something that is designed. What if you were designed to have Chiron on your moon so you could heal other people, so you could grant empathy via the work that you do? What if you have Sun in the 6th house so you have a profound desire to serve? Looking at it as though it were designed, as though every placement, every aspect was designed to paint the beautiful, unique picture of who you are, really empowers us rather than makes us feel limited and like I'm cursed because my birth time, because of this. Looking at it from a lens of, okay, this is what I was been given. What am I meant to do with it? Why would someone paint this particular chart of a human being, and how can I lean into that opportunity? I also believe that karmically and to a soul level, we did choose our birth charts. We chose the placements, we chose the signs. We also chose the time to incarnate because there are some lessons within this birth chart and within this time that we were meant to learn and some impact we're meant to have. So I hope you found some value within that rambling. I would love to hear what your kind of understanding is on these hotly debated topics. And by no means am I saying that I am right by any mean. I'm just sharing my heart and what I've kind of come to terms with in my study of astrology thus far. Comment below what yours is. If you found any value within this video, I'd so appreciate a like, and perhaps if I earned your subscription, that would be lovely. My Instagram handle is @HaleyCommentAstrology. I run a weekly IGTV show called Magic Monday every Monday morning, which is a weekly horoscope day by day so you can know where there's opportunity within the cosmos and how you yourself can seize it for your most magical life. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.